before I sleep, I have to make another video on the situations that are happening in Kenya. It's called femicide, homicide. Maybe just a partner before you're even married, and you realize that sometimes when you get to a conflict, then they are purporting to be violent. Violent in an extraordinary way that they may even pick tools and all that. They prefer to use knives, sometimes, objects around. That can easily lead to death. Now today, you saw what happened at Kasarani. This lady was hit, possibly on her head, by a worker who had not been paid based on their agreement. Now, it's unfortunate, and we cannot just say she deserved it, because no amount of money is equal to life. And once you've killed and you're on the run, you cannot go far. You realize that he had not gone far, and it had not taken a lot of time before he was found. Human blood demands it always arrests you even before you arrest yourself. Remember, even in the Bible, life is something that is sacred, and you cannot take it away from people. No wonder many countries have stepped down on from capital, that is death sentence, to capital sentence. Yeah, so even if you are a criminal, there's no right of another person taking your life. So now what do we learn from this incident? We have to understand that currently very many bad things happen. You remember yesterday, the other day I shared why young people might end up easily killing you as a parent, a teacher, or even fellow student, and I hope you're following that. So in this video, I was looking at the variety or various forms of killings. We always hear of femicide where women are killed. But now today, I've realized there is gendercide, which is targeting a specific gender. It may be male or female. Now in this situation, we are told that it commonly happens between a man or husband and wife. But you saw the incident in Italy, and it happened that this was more of a girlfriend. Yeah? If we look at the footage itself, this woman coming out of her club, holding something, talking to this man for very long hours, and then later on somebody comes, addresses them and shoots, only the man leaves. The woman comes back and then checks at the body, There is another one that happened again in Italy with a maid bringing a boyfriend to kill the boss. And we saw how she brutally looked at the body being slain by the boyfriend, and they stole 50,000 from the house. So you realize that situations are not very good in the country, and it's very important that we begin learning how not to trust anybody, be it a worker, your child, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend. If there are situations that are causing a lot of conflicts, misunderstanding, you better be very careful. Now, like the Italy incident, this woman, from those who are giving reports, she had kept sending messages to this man so that they meet. And finally, when they met, it was a death sentence. This woman in Kasarani had allowed this man to work. Then, I don't know whether they agreed from the beginning or the disagreement came at the end. This is a lesson we learn from it. Before someone works for you, you check on them, know who they are, observe how they react, and again, if you have agreed on dues, give them what is worth, or have a discussion before they begin working. Because that, I've seen, even there was one situation in near Webuye. There was another lady who was killed last year, almost December, because the purported worker had worked and had not been paid dues. You can see no money is equal to our lives. Even if you overpay that day, it's safer than having conflicts and then somebody hits you and you die. Some of these people have madness. They are crazy, mental cases. Some of them do not care about life, and so that's why they do what they do. Now, in many cases, when you look at these people who keep killing, they may not have killed one or two people. You just saw the example of this man from Ethiopia. He killed the wife, kids, and now came to Kenya and has been killing women, with the help of others, of course. Now, if you look at the book, there is a book which you may read if you get time, written in 1985 by an American feminist known as Mary Ann Warren. The book is known as Gendercide, the implication of sex-selected killings. Now, it is related to mass killings, genocide. So those people who think that maybe they are more important, that they have power over others do not deserve, whether it's money, love, better experiences, tend to kill so easily. However, gendercide, because it is sex neutral, you can kill either a man or a woman. You are not discriminatory on sex. But when it comes to femicide, it targets women alone or men alone. Now, for male, it's not femicide. We have a different name. We did not know the name for killing of men or boys is known as androcide. So androcide is perpetuated by maybe women who target particular men or boys. So now there has been, in 1998, there was an ANAFO campaign against the Kurdish males. They were considered to be battle-aged, between 15 and 50. So the Iraq people decided to capture and kill a lot of men and boys because they thought these people will be strong later and overcome them. Also in 1995, you realize that Bosnia, we had the Srebrenica massacre, and men and boys were killed, in what is called the International Court of Justice. An act to attack those whom they thought were powerful, in what we call honor killings. In fact, in Kenya it has happened. There is a time during the Moi regime that it happened, people were killed because they thought those men would turn up to, they are the ones who had perpetuated atrocities or abuses. It has even happened in Pokot. For the case of femicide, which I already said, of course most of them are out of domestic violence. It may be out of serial killers who are targeting women because of how they grew up. And as we say, if you are born in hatred, you will tend to hate. If you are maybe born in rejection, you will tend to reject, and therefore sometimes you cause abuse to acquire happiness. Furthermore, apart from domestic violence, we've seen intimidation of women. This man wants to show power, and then they look at you and think, as a prostitute or as a woman, you're trying to sell yourself, and they decide they'll kill you because they have got that opportunity. So it is criminalization that happens against isolated women who may sound like they're weak. There are situations where some will just be cut, even female genital mutilation also is part of what causes femicide. Other situations, we've seen cases of third gender, which is gendercide against third gender. Now, if you look at Deborah Miranda, as a Spanish colonial practice, came up with this as a way of exterminating these people, the Joyas. I hope you know them. Huh? So, in 1513, at Santa Clara, you realize that Vasco Nunez de Balbo encountered about 40 indigenous men who were dressed as women. And he decided to tell soldiers to kill them, right? So they became prey of their war dogs. Can you imagine that? Yeah, the greyhounds and all that. In 1775 again, a Spanish soldier known as Pedro Fages wrote about 2 or 3 joyas that could be identified in each indigenous Californian village and were held in great esteem in their communities. So he decided to initiate swift reduction of the joyas, and to an extent, given that it was a vice that was to be eliminated based on Catholic faith, he decided that it would be glory to God if these people were killed. Now, these situations have not just ended in America and the other countries we've mentioned. Now, genocide or genocide has happened in Rwanda, we've seen that. And we've seen even in Sudan, it happened. Now, in Kenya, what we are currently facing is, in some situation, homicide. We are facing some few cases, though, unless they are not reported very well. We are facing situation of androcide. So looking at this and the current about 4 or 5 cases of mixed killings that are not quite clear, we realize that we have to do something. And what is this? It is to acquire knowledge around kind of people killing, the characteristics they have. Of course, you've seen one of the characteristics, they are very emotional, they are irrational in decision making, they'll always be physically violent for a very long time, and we may be ignoring those symptoms. Some of them are very good to lure us, and they'll be very fast, especially those who target women, and they call them to relations, and then they meet and kill them. Some will be very close to us, like the driver at Isili, the woman who led to the death of that man, that young man. Then the other maid who led to the death of the boss. And so many other situations we've seen, of course, in poisoning. Recently, another one happened in Kitale, whereby a man had been rearing chicks from the mother's home. The wife is a very young girl of about 1990, is it 96 or 8, with 1 kid. And then she was left abandoned. She doesn't have a source of income. That is why now again I come back to women, empower yourself, have your own money. Now this girl died because she did not have a source of income. She could not live. Her husband was a mason, and therefore he had lived some distance away from this lady, and he was not coming back home, not sending anything. This girl knew that the man had reared some chicks from the mother-in-law's place. So she went to sell some of them, and when the mother-in-law followed, she quickly called the man, that is the son, and he began beating this woman. And the mother-in-law was there celebrating, saying, beat her so much. She is so arrogant, she is so what? And in the process, the lady was killed. Yeah, so these things are happening. So empowerment is the very key thing. Economic empowerment. Another thing is that we should not take relationships as ways to imprison, like looking at another one as an asset, so that when they have, then we kill them. That level of jealous, people should learn that you cannot hold somebody at rummage now. Like you cannot now call your wife permanently yours or your husband. So if you know that you are selfish or self into yourself, then get back to the Bible and know that marriage is not for you. Even a relationship, because you should be ready that anytime somebody walks away from you, you can heal and get to other things. Another thing is that people should have option 1 and 2 for other things in life rather than a relationship. Because we are seeing many situations of death like Seth and Lily and all others. It's coming around something to do with our relationship. Then quick relationships should be avoided. And there is so much in this aspect. That's why I'm saying we should empower ourselves with information to know what kind of people can turn to be practice anthropoid or femicide or genocide or gendercide. We should know also danger signs and evade or run away as early as possible. I have relatives, I won't mention specifically, who have been in marriages that were very toxic, lethal. Someone first thinks you should work, then later on thinks you should not work. They are suspicious. You come back home, they ask you where you took a bath. You wonder whether this person has a brain of a child and a body of an old person, because some questions are not worth being asked. They'll even call people in the middle of the night, maybe your sisters and brothers, and cry around and, say, make, like they come up with cases that cannot sound. They'll always blame you, because these people, they'll always blame you, make you look like you are the crazy one. So even closer people to you might think that you are the wrong one. I don't know how many of you are watching this video with Kizito as a main character, Angel as the wife, Oma as the sister, Clara as the sister-in-law, and you can actually see this. So, as we watch the 2 videos or 3 that I've just spread in this, be careful about who is working for you, what negotiations you're making, who are around you, and how do they react, what kind of reasoning do they have, so that we save in our homes, and we save people, we save our souls, we save ourselves. Empower your children if they are daughters. We have even defense mechanisms. And I wonder, because I've done Taekwondo, and there is a time I told students to begin training this, not for any other purposes. Taekwondo or Shoronye, Shotokan and all that, they are meant for defense. You only attack when somebody attacks you. And you will always be sensitive with the environment around you, whether it's in town or wherever you are. And you can even escape a situation where you're dealing with 1 or 2 people, unless it's a crowd. So it is important that your children, whether they are boys or girls, empower them with these skills, because they may help. They may sense danger even before it comes. So having said that, this discussion is not over. We will continue with this, and that's why I took time before I did anything on this. Good night.